everyone, thanks for stopping back. Today we're going to start a tile in layering with an illustration of a whimsical tree. Today's supplies would be, the absolutely necessary are, you could use paper of any kind, but I have a white Zentangle tile that I'll be using. But if you don't have that, just grab a sketchbook or journal or any kind of paper. A pencil. This is a Zentangle mini graphite. 2B will work just as well. A 0.05 micron pen would be nice. Any pen will do except ballpoint. And a blender of some sort. And an eraser. I know I've talked about this in other videos I've done, but I really prefer the Mono Zero eraser by Tombow. So that's what I usually use in place of the kneaded. The kneaded is great in different areas, but not when I do precise work and want to get just a little bit of detail. I prefer this. This will work. Just pull off a little piece, roll it up, and you can get your point and get very fine lines. But I just find it easier to use the Tombow. So, and I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody. So that's just my personal opinion. Now, the extras that I'm going to suggest, if you have them, because that's how I'll be doing this today. If you don't, just do the black and white. But I'm also going to suggest a size 1 black micron pen and a size 0.01, that's the smaller tip, the 0.01, the 1 is the larger tip, of course, and that's for filling in areas. And always close those tightly because they dry up quick. And an 0.05, and I'm going to use the micron, and this is a brown. It will be really nice for our front flower parts. So if you have it, it's just a great contrast one. So I'll be using that one too. But again, those aren't necessary to do this. This lesson is a great practice in drawing in the Hollibaugh fashion or drawing behind. That's really what's really wonderful about this. We're not going to be doing complex tangles, just really focusing on drawing behind. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start with our 4-corner dots, just to give us a little suggestion of an area to work in and a bit of a reference point. And with those dots, it does not have to be straight. Don't worry about it. Just draw in pencil your border. Curvy, wavy, straight, whatever you want to do. Okay, now for our string, instead of just drawing a random string, I wanted this to be more of a tiny little illustration. As my original artwork, I'm very into whimsical and fairies, and that's what I draw most of the time. This is just a sticker of a painting that I did. If you like these stickers, they are available on my site. And they're great. Okay, shameless plug. I use them on my water bottles. They're very durable. They're wonderful. So I really like the quality of these stickers. So there's quite a few available. I did not intend to start with the stickers, but just in case. But that's why I'm doing kind of a whimsical string with a illustrative kind of technique instead of a random string that you would normally see. Really, if you wanted to do any of the flowers that we've done so far, any shoe drawings, oh my goodness, there's so many you could choose from, but I wanted to do something different today. So I kind of wanted to do the mushrooms like I use in my paintings. And so I'm going to draw a simple version of that. So let's start. We're going to start at the edge because I want this to fall out of the border. I'm going to start kind of in the middle, just a little off to the side, and I'm going to draw my first line right here, and I'm going to parallel or aura, draw behind, and draw another one for the stem. Now over here, I want one to go the other way. So I'm just going to draw it, same thing, going the other way. Okay, now we need the caps for these mushrooms. So I'm going to just pencil them in to make it easier. We could just go to ink, but I just want you to be real confident with what you're doing with this one. So first, I'm just going to kind of draw an oval type of circle, and we're going to darken this. And I'm going to draw a line that just kind of makes a cap. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just, it doesn't have to be. It can be any size, any shape you want. Just don't cover up the whole thing if you want the same type of look. I'm just trying to keep it a little bit smaller so that I have room to tangle. And I'm going to draw a cap on that one. Okay, now for the only other line that we really use on this one is we're going to imagine that a tree is coming down, just part of a tree. So this is the tree trunk, and I'm going to stop when I get to the mushrooms, pick it up, and go down, and I'm going to pick it up and go down. So that's basically the string that I am working with. Now I'm not inking these in yet because I really want to use the method of drawing behind and things popping forward. So I'm not sure where I want the lines, the ink lines, to fall over our main parts of this drawing. I want the tree to fall to the background. So in some cases, I want my leaves to come across, or, you know, down here, I want the leaves to stand out, but I haven't planned that out yet. So it's good to just, you know, keep with the pencil. It just provides, you know, a chance for some change. The first tangle that we're going to start with is actually a tangle I thought was really cool. It's called Abo, and it's by Yolanda, Lopez, Segura. I'll spell that name on the screen. I hope I get that right, Yolanda. But I just thought this was really a cool tangle for this this design. So it's very easy to do, and it looks really cool. Okay, I'm going to start down here just by making a couple lines, a little bit longer, curving a little. There's no exact way to do it because it's going to kind of wind up around here. So don't worry about being exact. And I'm going to start on one side, cross over, make a circle, and stop at that bar. So you just have a circle looking like it's going behind your bar. Then I'm gonna Hollibaugh or aura that little circle so that it's complete. Now, I'm using my 0.05 if I didn't already mention that. Now I'm gonna fill in right over the top on this side only and fill in that circle. So, all right, let's go ahead and put that flowering effect in. It's just simply drawing little tiny petals around the circle. Don't worry about your perimeter. If you fall out of the perimeter, not a problem. Now, when it comes to the over one, the line that goes over, I'm going to skip that one and go around. And I'm going to cover this one up so that my flower looks like it's coming out. Let me just draw my line a little bit longer. So that's basically it. We're going to color in these petals, and it just really turns out cool. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of curve it around. There's no right way to do this, and we'll clean up our lines after. I just want to give myself a little bit of room so that I can do another one. So I'm going to start at one side, go around over the bar, and stop. So it's crossing here and it's going under here. Just go around, do it again, and stop. And again, we can color that one, fill it in. If you wanted to make these colors, you could too. You can do anything you want to do. Make it your own. Okay, and if I miss some spots, I can go back and catch them. Now go ahead and add your petals. And I'm going to go over this one. Now this one I'm going to go under. I'm going to let those petals fall behind. And there you go, we got our next one. Okay, now our line was coming out this way. So I'm going to twist it a little, turn it this way, give myself a little bit more room. And we're going to do that one again. Stop, pick up, and go across this one and fill it in. Then do our petals. Okay, let's turn our tile or your notebook, whatever you're working on. You can make this go on if you're working on a larger piece of paper, however long you want it to go, obviously. Okay, and let's start at the one side, go over, stop, and stop. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do those little flowers. Now stop because this one is going into the circle. Pick up and start again over here. I bet you can hear Blue snoring in the background. He is sound asleep. Okay, so now I've got my first little row. Now what I want to do is go in and kind of entangle one more set and make them look like they're intertwining. So I'm going to come around here. I could go over my mushroom, I could go under it. There's just whatever way you want to do. But I'm going to stop at my mushroom and pick it up over here and maybe just twist it a little into that one. Okay, let's do the aura. And now let's see if we can find a place to put one. We can always draw behind. That's what's great about this lesson, is it's really kind of working that muscle of drawing behind. So I'm going to try to sneak one in right here. So when I hit a line, I just pretend like it's not there and I go around it. And my underneath would be there. And I'm going to do it again. And again, over here it would stop, so I'm just going to fill that little piece in black and fill this one in. Now, this one goes over the line. I fell off there a little. I've got my hand positioned so you can see, and I can't always see when I would normally work this way. I'm trying to keep my hand over here. So this one got a little bit wider. Okay, now let's draw our petals for this one. Okay, this one I'm going to go over, and there's a line, twisty line here. I want it to go over because it's coming in front. And so you just kind of make it up. Don't worry specifically about, something not being just right. It's no big deal. All right, so now this one is working on this line here. So I'm going to put one over here, go over. Could have even turned it the other way, but no problem. And fill that space in. Okay, and then we've got our petals, and this one goes over. Stop there. And I'm going to let it fall behind this line here. Okay, so this one is going up and over, and it's falling behind here. I'm going to make it make a sharp turn as if it's coming out of this one. So it kind of went just under that leaf a little bit. And again, depending on what you're doing, you might decide to put your little flowers elsewhere. But this is kind of how mine's working out. Fill in that gap. Okay, now this flower is going to fall behind this one. So I'm going to put my little petals, pretend like it's not there. I'm just going to skip it. And I'm going to continue my petals on this side. And stop because this bar is going in again. And maybe I'll do one more. I could have gone behind the tree, but I think I'll do one more this way. And do my circle. Let's make this go up a little bit more. Around. And fill it in. And I could decide to go over the tree a bit here too, which I think I'll do. And let's put our flowers, our petals. So that'll just kind of overlap and fall over the border a little. Okay, so that is the first side of the Tangle abo. I believe that's how she pronounces it, but I could be wrong, but I'll spell it out with her name on the screen. But she deconstructed this Tangle. So we give her credit, and thank you very much, Yolanda. All right, so let's move on to the next part. Okay, so we were using our 0.05 because we were puddling these in, and I wanted these lines darker, although I'll go back and touch them up when we're done. But if you want to add a bit of the palm tree falling behind, just as a suggestion, I will show you how to do that. You don't have to do this part if you don't want. I'm going to use my 0.01, and it has, you know, the thinner tip. So I'm going to use my 0.01 and put some leaves behind these flowers, some palm leaves. Nothing too dramatic, just a little bit of suggestion of a palm leaf. So again, I'm going to try not to see these, and I am going to just make some branches. See, I don't have much room here, that suggest a bit of a palm leaf falling down from this tree. Just kind of working it in where I see it could fit. Now I am going to color these so that I kind of can keep track of, not kind of, so that I can keep track of where these leaves are. So, you know, each time you'll kind of do something different. You might do all your coloring at the end, or you might do it as you go. If you do it as you go, just try to be conscientious of letting, if you're using ink, letting that ink dry, that colored ink, especially jelly rolls. And if this seems a bit too much, just skip this part and go to the next. I just thought it's a great practice for learning to put things behind other things. And really, I think that's enough of a suggestion for a palm leaf. I might even make one more flower. Well, no, I won't, because the tree would be there. So, in my mind, not that anything is realistic with Zentangle, but it's just my idea. Okay, so we've got a bit of a palm tree leaf coming through. All right, okay. Before I move on to coloring, another thing that I want in front is some greenery in front of this tree, some little flowers. So before I tangle on this tree, I want to add those little suggestions of greenery just in front. Nothing complicated, just a stem and just some leaves. like that. Okay, and let's just let that dry. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go color these in and do a little bit of shading, just so we can keep track of what we're doing as we continue to fill this in. I do that with my, if you've ever watched the Whimsical Girls tangles that I do the shading as I'm going, just to kind of give me a reference point of what's happening. Otherwise, if I have all these lines, I might forget what I was doing when things cross over and get confused. So in a case of illustration, I do the coloring or the shading or whatever I'm working on, just to kind of keep things balanced. So if you don't want to do the colored effect, just skip ahead and we'll move on. Okay, colored pencil would work really well in these as well. So if you don't want to use jelly rolls, pick some colors that you feel you would like and color them in. If you want to use what I'm using, I'm going to be using my Moonlight jelly roll. This is 405P. And I'm also going to be using my 432 Moonlight jelly roll, Moonlight 432. And that is the fresh green. So those are just the colors I'm using. All right, let's start with our yellowish one. And let's just fill in these petals. Again, if you cross over a black line or something you didn't intend to, you can go back and fix that when it's dry at the end. And again, I'm very conscious of what's falling behind something else, another object. This would be a really cute tangle just to fill up a tile with. You could just go all curvy, have them cross all over. I just particularly liked it for the whimsical type of look. You don't have to use a lot of pressure with these jelly rolls. And I've mentioned before, never shake them. Always store them horizontal or flat to get longer life. Okay, so I think that's good enough for that. Now, I do want to do that palm leaf in the green, but I don't want to do it too soon because, of course, it will smear. So these dry pretty quickly, but be very conscious when you're working with them. I'm going to go ahead and fill in these bottom leaves with that green, just so I don't lose them. And if you love jelly rolls, you can start taking it further as you progress, and they're wonderful to mix too, which is what I would normally do with these leaves, is mix a couple of colors while they're wet. But we're gonna just go for simple. Okay, now that's where I'm gonna stop, and I'm just gonna let this dry a couple minutes, and then we're gonna come back and fill in this green and shade these vines, just so we keep track of them. Okay, I've let that set a couple of minutes, and now I'm going to come in and just catch the leaves of our palm tree. And if I see a place I want to add one, go ahead and do it. You can re-emphasize it with black later, but nothing is set in stone, so just make changes as you see them. Okay, now that that has dried a couple of minutes, I'm going to come in with my sharpened pencil and just start shading where I want to give this some dimension of it going in and out. I'm looking for the places where it will, and this is just exactly like Hollibaugh. You're just kind of twisting, going in and out throughout your piece. And then up here, it's coming off the paper, so I just want to put a little bit there and here. And again, take your time as you're doing this. When I'm rushing through filming, I'm not as precise as when I'm just relaxing and tangling. So this one is coming down over here. So that just kind of gives me a direction. And then I want to take my graphite, my blender, and I do have a smaller one, which I would suggest using, but I'm just going to try to get away with the bigger one. And just lightly, don't press hard, just lightly spread that graphite out, just a little. If you go too far, you can always use your eraser to bring back your highlights. Use the tip over here. We generally like to use the side of our blender, but in this part right here, I need to get in there. Just smooth it out. And again, your eraser or a white jelly roll will bring back anything that goes too far. So, and then I might go in and do some shading afterwards, but this just kind of keeps my lines intact. I have some graphite left over on my blender, so I just want to put a hint of a shadow inside. And again, with Zentangle, what's beautiful is you don't have to worry about being consistent of where the light's coming from. Just shade wherever you want. That's one thing I love. I don't have to think constantly about where my light source is. I just go with what I think will look good. And my graphite is running out a little. And I missed one down here. And I could always rub some pencil out on a piece of paper and then rub it on here and get some more. But this is another little shortcut. Okay, so I wanted to get just a little bit more in here. Okay. And I might redefine my line in here. So that just kind of gives you the framework of what you're working on, so you won't lose that as you're tangling. And we will move on from here. Okay, now before we do the mushrooms, I want to add a little bit more greenery. I want another leaf to pop out in front of the mushrooms. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to do some over here too. So we're going to go back to your 0.01 and just don't worry about the pencil lines. And I'm just going to put, it's a little bit wider than I would have liked, but no worries. Just put a few leaves in here. Okay, and then I'll put a couple more over here. This is working so small, I hope you can see. And maybe one more. Give it some movement, so I'm turning it. Okay, and I'm gonna let those dry for a second. You wanna let that ink dry before you go ahead, and we're gonna add our green again at the and when I'm finished, I'll go back and redefine if needed with my black pen. And notice I started working inside so that as I work out, my hand will not smear that ink. You don't want to be on top of your work. Okay, I'm just gonna let that dry. Okay, now we're ready for our mushrooms, and I'm gonna use my 0.01 for this one. And just gonna start down here, stop when I get to a leaf, pick up, and go around. And then over here, I want that to be a little thinner, so I'm gonna not stick to my original line and just make it a touch thinner than that original line I drew. I can erase that out, but it'll get covered up anyways. And I'm gonna cap it off up here. Then I'm gonna do the outline. And again, if you want this to be curvy, you can make it curvy. All this is gonna be filled in, so I'm not worried about precise coverage. It's not gonna stand out. And that's even if you were doing just the black and not the color. And fill it in over here. Okay, so I've got the first mushroom. I'm going to do the second one. And I'm going to make it just a little bit thinner as well. Kind of an odd angle to draw at, so I can't see completely where I'm going. Okay. And cap it off. And if you don't like the shape of your mushroom, you can definitely change it. Okay, so I got my outlines of my mushrooms. All right, now for the base of the mushrooms, I thought it would be a cool look if we used the striping technique that we've used before. I love striping. So I'm gonna start at the middle, and you can make these as dramatic as you want. I believe I did this one in the last video. Striping can be used in so many ways. And like Maria Thomas, one of the founders of Zentangle, says, it's one of the only tangles that is named for exactly what it is. It's striping. Just going to make it thicker at the bottom. Give it some weight on the ends like it's twisting. And actually, I want to make this mushroom go all the way around. So I'm just going to add a little bit there. And don't worry about the space because I want to put some brown in there. And I'm going to start to turn it the other way. And if you want them all to go this way, there's, again, no rules. You're not trying to copy something exactly. You're putting your own twist on it. And I'm just going to darken the line that's above to separate the cap of the mushroom a little bit more. Okay, now while that's drying, I think I said drying, let's move on to the other one. I'm going to darken that cap. And I'm going to start striping this way. This one I want to go around this way. And I'll give myself a bit of a reference where I want the turn to be. Start going this way. It's so unusual to hear construction back here, but this summer, not the snoring, the dogs are always snoring. This summer we have more construction than we've had in all the years I've lived here. So I realized that I'm gonna have to just live with it with recording because it's impossible. Okay, so I have got my 2 mushrooms now, and I'm gonna just thicken this line at the top and at the top of this one. Okay, make sure to close your pens so they snap, so they don't dry out on you. Now, if you have the brown, if you didn't and you just left it black, it's fine. But if you have the brown, I would just go in and add just a bit of a line in between, just for a little bit added touch. Not required. Okay. All right, let's let that dry just a second, and we will do the caps next. Okay, I've let that dry a few minutes, and I'm gonna do crescent moon, but not a lot of lines. I'm just gonna start at the bottom with my shaded circle, and crescent moon we usually go a few lines and then turn, but I want to fill it in, so I'm not going to worry about the lines in between here. I'm just going to go about doing crescent moon from side to side. You'll see why in a minute. And I would do 1, 2, and give it a little bit of space. Turn it this way. Then I'll fill in over here. Normally 1, 2, fill it in right here. Go to the other side. Put in your base, your half circle. 1, 2, go over here. All right, so we've got that one filled in. I'm going to turn my tile and I'm going to do the same thing over here. And give it a little bit of space. And then I want my filled in section on the opposite side. Give it a little space. And see why you want this to be dry, because you're just constantly touching it. It's getting tight. No worries. There we go. So now we have our mushroom caps. Okay, if you have the sepia jelly roll, this is what I'm using here, number 517. It's a sepia. If you don't worry, shading would add dimension just as well, but I'm going to fill in these spaces with the sepia just to kind of tie it together. It's not the exact color as what we used. We used the brown micron pen underneath here, but I like the contrast. And it also has a bit of glitter and shine in it, which I really like. I always say more glitter the better. Okay, this one's the bottom one, so I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to turn, not touch that, and fill in this one. So that is the caps. Snap your pen, let it dry. Okay, I'm going to come back in now and do the stems. Now, if you're just doing black and white, shading the underneath and maybe where the leaves are and down below, it's going to work just as well. I'm going to use the sepia for the mushroom stems, so I'm just gonna darken just a few areas. Might still shade under that leaf because I don't want it to bleed. Just giving it a lit, and remember we had that, I have that pencil line I'm ignoring. I could just erase it, but I don't really care. It's gonna be gone. Just giving it a hint of color. And maybe I'll combine it with pencil, but that is all I'm going to do with the stems. Okay, I'm going to outline the base of our tree here now that I know that I'm kind of done with what's going to go in front of the tree. I'm just going to outline just to give me a form of reference. And I just want to add just some dramatic long stems. Nothing fancy, just a suggestion of a long stem in the background. I'm just kind of drawing one line, putting another behind it. If you want to get really technical, one could go in here, and then bringing it out the other side. And they're leaves, so you want them to be a little curvy. And I'm going to put one more, so it's going in here, so it would be behind this mushroom, coming up, going through here, and maybe coming out over here. Just a lot of twisting and turning makes it really interesting. And as I think about it, I might color those with a green colored pencil. We'll see. Okay, so basically that is everything on this side. So now, before we do the tree trunk, we're gonna do this side in basically the same format. I was playing around when I first discovered Abo by Yolanda Lopez. I'm not sure if she's a CZT. It didn't say, it just had her name. She might be by now, but when this was constructed. But then I was playing it around and I was thinking, okay, this was her basic, not basic, but this was her foundation, which I loved. Then I was thinking of other ways you could kind of play with it. So again, this isn't set in form. It's something you can draw off of and do some different things with. So it's really a great concept. So I loved it. Lots of ways you can go. But for this one, and twisting and turning and making it go all over, it's a great tangle. So play with it and see what other, things you could come up with. I just quickly was sketching out some ideas, but I decided I wanted to stay with the original. I think it's beautiful. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and let's keep going on the other side. Okay, so we're going to do basically the same thing. We are going to put in our abo. So I want to keep it consistent. I don't have to, but I'm going to just start it winding up this way. And I'm using my one basically because I'm working so small. Filling in gets a little bit challenging with a one. We go around, cross, and come to the other side. And then we aura or draw behind, exactly mirroring the line we just drew. And then we fill it in. Now the steps I'm doing again are basically for demonstration. If you wanted to just do, the sketching and the black ink first and then color it in, and you can keep track of everything, that's an easier way to do it. And you don't have to wait the few minutes to just let things dry. So if you're in total meditation mode, I would do it that way. But because this is layering a lot of different items, I wanted to show you the coloring as I went, or the shading, whichever way you're doing it. I could even sneak one in back here, which I think I will. Just pretending that I don't see that. I would stop it here. I would come around. Well, really, I should draw behind, but talking, I've said it before, and demonstrating are two different things. And I'm going to go back and put my petals. And again, this one's going in, so I'm going to skip and just go around. You can make them bigger too. And this one, I'm going to have it stop as if it's going behind the other. Skip this line because it's going in. This may look complicated, but it's really not if you just break things down step by step. Okay, so I'm going to continue my line over here. I'm not really looking at that side. I don't want to get confused or pay attention to it. Aura it. And I'll make a full where it crosses over and stop. Go around, cross over. I just don't like how my 1 is working on this. I'm going to go back to my 5. I don't need to have that much of a precise line. It's much easier to fill. Stop. I'm going to use this in my journal and have them twist all around. I really like doing these. Okay, and we can do our petals. I could see these being longer too if I had more room to work with. So many variations. Now I want another vine, just twisting through. I don't have a lot of room. Okay, so that's good enough. Now I am ready. I'm going to go back to my 0.01, and I see that this one went off the border and this one did not. And I am thinking, you know, maybe I am going to go and add this one to go off as well. So I will complete this. I need my 0.05. It's kind of good to show the process of how these come to be. They're not planned out, so each time is different. So I'll just keep my flower going, and my palm tree leaf will fall behind. Okay, so that just gives it one that's going off the page. This one stopped, this one stopped, that one went off. Really doesn't matter. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my 01. Okay, I'm going to make one palm leaf fall behind, as if it's falling behind the tree, and then one coming forward. Now, one thing about the way I like to tangle is I really love illustration. Unplanned illustration is fun for me. If you're just into doing the string and then filling in a pattern and seeing the surprise of keeping one pattern, that's just a different way of doing it. If you're interested in the illustrative part, this is how I work. I've done where I've just done tiles where I just did a string and then filled in one pattern and shown the beauty of, you know, how those strings disappear. That's the magic of Zentangle. It's gorgeous. This is more illustrative and working in layers and trying to, you know, piece together what's coming behind, what's coming forward in a whimsical fashion. So, okay, I said this one I want to try to fall behind. So I'm going to do a branch here and a branch here. It's going to go behind the tree. So I'm going to just aura that and make those little green stems that come off. I don't have to be too precise because you saw how easy it was to correct. I'm coming back with my Jelly Roll 405P. Again, whatever you're using, if you're just shading, that's fine. If you're using colored pencil, whatever you choose to do. And I'm just gonna do my petals. Kuza is having a good dream. I'll have to pop their pictures up on the screen. I have the three dogs. I have Kuza, Blue is my little palm, and then I have Effie, who is a larger, she's a mixed breed. She's older. I think she's almost 14. And she usually likes to come in and bump my camera or snoop in all the baskets, but she must be sleeping. I'm gonna come back in with my fresh green, number 432. And they're all sitting right here if you're using the same colors. So I'll add a little bit of black to just give it a little bit of dimension. All right, next we're gonna shade the vines and a bit of the inner circle. Add these little leaves long stem leaves going on the side and move on to our tree. I'm going to add these long stems. Okay, moving on to our tree. I have a plan for something up here. So I'm going to just put a bit of a semicircle just to remind me what I want to do up here. And I'm going to work down here. Before I do that though, I think I'm going to add just a couple of little leaves that are coming around and coming into that tree. Not a lot. This is a step I just thought of, so if you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. And maybe one more over here. Okay, that's probably plenty. Okay, now what I'm going to do is simply do a Hollibaugh type of bar going across this tree. So nothing complicated. I'm just going to start at one side and go to the other of where my tree. I can put my pen lines in now too if that'll make it easier. Here it is down here, and we put it in there. Okay, so just ordering that line. You could make these in a curved fashion too, like so. And however far you want to space them out. You can make them tighter. So many tangles would work on this tree. Just fitting one back here. Like so. And I want them to cross. So now what I'm going to do is just find a spot to draw behind and just make them cross a little bit. This one probably here. And to make these cross, because I want the other direction, I am going to, let's see, go here. And I really don't have a black line to work with, but we'll put one in here. I still have a little bit of the trunk over here, but it would fall behind that flower, so I'm not going to get too concerned. And over here, put one more. So that just gives me some Hollibaugh to work with, because I'm going to color in the spaces in between. And I'm going to, you can use whatever you want. I'm going to use the brown to fill in these spaces, with the exception of up here where I want to put a little bit different pattern, kind of what I would see in a palm tree. Now don't get discouraged if this is too detailed for what you want to do. If you just want to use parts of it, that's fine. This is just how I work when I want to make many layers. Oh, I just colored in a bar. Okay, no big deal. I could either go back with white and fix that, which I probably will, but it happens. But remember, there's no mistakes. Either go with it, no one will notice, or you can always fix it. But don't try to fix it right away. Always let it dry. And then you can go back in with your white. Okay, I didn't include these pencils in the beginning. No big deal. I just thought of it as I was doing it. I'm just gonna darken. This needs to be a little bit sharper. It's important that you work with, sharp colored pencils for this type of work. Really, for almost anything, blending and everything, you really want to work with the side of your pencil. When I'm working professionally, I'm always trying to get it smooth and work flat. This is a little bit different, but I'm just gonna darken these edges of those long leaves. And we'll try to fix that one a little bit. And then I'm going to go in with a lighter green and blend it out. I'll fix that with the darker green. Just put in a bit of a highlight. I can define those more with black ink when I'm done. Ooh, I don't know if you can hear it. It is coming down hard, the rain. And if I wanted to, I could go in and do a little there too, but I can get carried away. Okay, and then on this side, I have got these here. I see a little bit of brown I missed. I think colored pencil is one of my favorite mediums by far to work with. I love watercolors too. There's also many blending mediums you can use, but that's for another video. Sometime I'll do a video just on some colored pencil techniques that I use. I thought I was going to shade these at the corners. If you're doing it with pencil, you could shade, like here, like we do in Hollibaugh, and here, and blend it out, and you would get more of that wrapping look, which I like. But I also thought about using the sage. I don't know if that would blend in too much or stand out. Well, I think it stands out, but I'm gonna do the sage. Not the sage, the sepia, I'm sorry. Thinking about different things. Okay. So I'm just gonna use the sepia as I would a pencil. I like the look of that. But if you're working strictly with pencil, just shade like we normally do in Hollibaugh. And then we'll go to the top and we're just about there. Okay, for my top of the tree, I want to do something more of a Hollibaugh, but I want to put, you always see those bunches of seeds. Not always, but on a lot of trees. You see the bunches of seeds at the top. So I'm going to just add a few Hollibaugh lines. And maybe I'll go across. And here comes Effie. Did you wake up? Okay, now remember, this isn't part of our tree. This is part of our vine. So I'm just going to pretend the tree will end about here so I can keep track. Okay, now in between, I'll shade these, but in between these, I'm going to put those dots that I would imagine that I would see. And these are just orbs or circles, different sizes, just filling in that space. Maybe you want to have just leaves coming down completely, but I just wanted to add a little bit more detail. I love when there's a lot of detail. That can be good, that can be bad. And I'll just outline my leaf so it stands out a little bit more. If I don't lose it. Just darkening them up a little bit. And a couple in here. And again, yours is going to be different. I couldn't draw this same one again either. It's just developing as we go. When you work with a defined string and a defined pattern, you're more likely to get similar results, of course. But when you're working in an illustrative way, it's always going to be, even from the same artist, they're going to be different. And a lot of fun can be had in the finishing work. You know, I see a lot of little blank spaces in the browns and just places where I want to highlight. And I could film forever if I go back and do all of that now. Now this line, I noticed because it's coming off up here, I just personally wanted it to come off down here. So I'm going to just add that in. And this one I'm just going to leave alone. And I'm going to shade it. And give these a little bit of shading just off to the side. That way they lift off the page. Tile, paper, journal, whatever you're working in. My upcoming videos are going to be a series working on a Zentangle type of, well, mine's not going to be a tile, but you could use it as a tile. And I'm going to demonstrate each section a new tangle. So whether you're interested in creating a Zentangle, a circular, can't seem to find one right now, or you just draw a circle. Each day I'm going to do a different pattern. So whether you're interested in the patterns or you're interested in completing the whole project, that's going to be my next series that I'm going to put out in addition to the other things I do. But that's going to be a playlist of its own. And I'm working on editing that now. So for now, and these are, I'm sure you're familiar with the Jim Holtz Distress Oxide. And this is a vintage photo. And I'll show you the differences between the inks in another video. There's things you can do with this besides just using it in this type of format that I'm doing. And what is the last step? we sign our initials. Then we appreciate our work, whatever it turned out to be. Appreciate the time you had tangling. Don't criticize your work. I have step 8 and step 9. I'm not going to self-critique. So that's it for today. And the sun is out, it stopped raining, and the dogs can go for a walk. So in the meantime, keep tangling, take care, lots of love, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.